Comedian Dave Chappelle was not the usual jokes and giggles during a surprise show last week. Instead, going off about San Francisco's high crime and rampant homelessness.
The comedian asking the audience, quote, "What the blank happened to this place?" He didn't say blank. Saying the whole city was now the Tenderloin, as a district notorious for crime, homelessness, drug problems. Used to have big porno palaces back in the day. Of course, our next guest knows all about that.
And that next guest would be the Fox Across America host, the great, the handsome, and always funny Jimmy Failla.
There it is. Bang.
Boom. Sunday.
I love that Chappelle segment. Everyone's writing about it. He said this town needs a Batman.
Right.
And the people of San Francisco were like, it's bat them. You can't just assume his gender. And that's why your city's crushed. I've been to San Francisco. Me and Jenny have been there a lot. For people who haven't gone, if you remember the Thriller video, remember when Michael's walking home from the movie theater and all of a sudden everybody starts coming out of the manholes and the clothes are ripped and they're beat up? I mean, looking back, the most shocking part of the video is Michael Jackson having a girlfriend. But if we can move forward to what was actually going on in the periphery, it was a society that had kind of let itself go. San Francisco, it's sad. But what's sadder to me is not Chappelle calling out Frisco, it's that he could have been in about 10 Democratic-run cities around the country and issued the same declaration. Let's not act like where we are in Times Square is exactly like Club Med right now. It's a mess.
I lived in San Francisco for a year. First marriage. That's another segment coming up.
It is? Great.
And it was bad then.
Oh, yeah.
But my brother is out there all the time, and he says you have no idea how horrific it is.
Oh.
But why is this important, Jimmy, to hear Chappelle say this?
Because he's not speaking from like a politically motivated place. You know, he's coming at it as a comic. And for comedians to succeed, the audience has to agree with the basic truth in whatever the joke premise happens to be. You know, so if the premise is, hey, this place is a dump, the audience on some level has to be nodding in agreement. And it's kind of hard not to when Whole Foods leaves. Understand, Whole Foods has money. They're owned by Amazon. If they can't stick it out, what hope is there for the little guy, you know? And it's sad, because I, like you, loved San Francisco. We've been there with Jenny and Lincoln to see the SEALs and Alcatraz. And Lincoln actually wants to go back to San Francisco this summer, but we actually decided to go someplace safer, like Baghdad. But I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, pal.
But Jimmy, isn't there something about comedy, which is why the leftists tried to shut down criticism of their policies on all these social media platforms, because there is a power in comedy and comics making jokes and making fun of like the disgrace of San Francisco actually hit people pretty hard, and it might actually make them change their ways, change their viewpoints on what's happening in their city. Is that possible?
Yes, 1,000%. That's why I always argue you would recruit more people to a political ideology by cracking them up than you would preaching to them. Because cracking them up requires some type of a common sense agreement. Okay, we have to agree on the human element of this story. San Francisco is bad. Certain policies have made it that way. Let's laugh at it as a coping mechanism, but more importantly, acknowledge that we can't continue to do what we're doing. You know, and that's the problem. Remember we did that story where they spent $1 million on one toilet in San Francisco? And now, to be clear, it's because it's San Francisco and you have to spend half of that money training people to go potty indoors, okay? But the point is, it's still a sad place to be.
It's not just the cities. I said a few years ago that these very wealthy comedians, Joe Rogan does stand-up, better known for his podcast, and particularly Chappelle, because he's so rich and doesn't give a flying... that they've got FU money, that they will lead us out of this left-wing lunacy because they don't care. Say, you crack a joke about a trans person, they try to shut you down. Chappelle doesn't care, and he kept going, and he kept going. And so, again, it gives everybody else the freedom to speak out.
He's kind of gotten us past cancel culture in the sense because he exposed how toothless the whole thing was. All they ever had was social pressure. Hey, fire this guy, cancel this guy. The fact that he stood around with his middle finger in the air kind of exposed them for what they are. People nobody likes, okay? We never liked these people before social media. You never showed up at a party. We're like, I can't wait till the guy who gets offended at everything shows up. And that never happened to you. You want to know why? Because that guy didn't get invited to parties.
It's no fun.
Before there was social media. And he's not getting invited now. We are defunding the joke police.
How dare you?
I like it. Jimmy Failla, I like you. I like your spring collection you've now busted
It's a look,
out.
right?
It looks good on you.
Not a little something.
Yeah, it's spring. Jimmy Failla. Thanks
You
for joining
guys.
us. That's always great.
Mad Maxine, I'm ready for war. Coming up.